hope that looks like we're getting most people back. This is an important session of a lot of areas that you're going to need to know. First of all, Ed, you want to advance to the next slide? Here's what we're going to learn about today. Holly Seabury is going to share with us a presentation that she actually did last year for us in terms of I'm president, now what? She's an immediate past president of the Fort Wayne Rotary Club and an assistant governor. And she has a lot of just tips for you. And I know that when we did our survey, that's what a lot of people wanted to know is just what are those things that I really need to do, how to make it easier, and she's going to share that. I'm going to share a few reporting requirements, and as we all say, there's no Rotary police, but there are certain things that we really need some help that information is there, and it'll make your club run so much smoother. The next part's the heavy part, but it's the important part for you in terms of how do you get around in Club Runner and My Rotary, and we're going to have some videos and some ways to help you with that. Then we're going to share a little bit about youth programs in the district that we participate in and that you have the opportunity through your club to participate in, and just kind of then a general quick Q&A of what's coming up next. So next. So at this point in time, one of the other things that I don't think, well, Holly, I'll share a little bit about, but her club, and especially Holly, they're very involved in global grants. And this particular picture, I'm sure you can tell which one is Holly, is the dedication of a hospital in India that helps provide for children with congenital heart disease. And we had the opportunity just this week to be on a program and hear more about how kids' lives are saved. So Holly is going to share with you about what it's like to be president-elect and moving into president. Holly?
Thank you very much, Jane. And yes, that our club is very active in global grants, and that has been one of the few benefits of the pandemic is that we've been able to share a lot of the work with our international partners on Zoom. And so we've been able to attend these great dedications and press conferences this week in Mumbai because of Zoom. So as clubs look at doing international projects, just know that now you're a lot more connected to those projects. So I'm trying to get my my little arrows keep disappearing at the bottom of my screen. And I'm having trouble. Let me see if I can not getting the slide to advance. And I don't have the arrows. Thank you. Let me see if hopefully from now on I'll be able to do it. So there's a survey that goes out to the presidents-elect, and that's what I built a lot of this presentation on, was just the feedback of what presidents-elect wanted to know as they were going into the presidential year. Thank you. So the number one question was, what are the rules of being a Rotary president? And there are no rules. As Jane mentioned, and it's been mentioned several times here, there's no Rotary police. There's no one who's going to come into your meeting and say you're doing this wrong. You have a lot of leeway of how you lead your club, how you guide your club, your leadership style, how your club meetings run. Rotary has really retracted a lot of the old rules, including the attendance and a really structured club agenda. So you really have a lot of leeway within your club culture and within the buy-in that you can get from your club. Now, while there are no rules of how you lead, there are a lot of tasks that you will have to get done this year. And your district governor should have sent you the president's manual and the checklist. So there are a lot of tasks that you will have to do as president this year. So I like to say that I'm still having trouble advancing this. Can you advance this for me?
Yes, I think we do not have the remote control. We have a problem with that. I don't know why. So I will be advancing this for you, okay?
Okay. Can you just hit it once so my words come up under this slide? Thank you. So there is no I in team, but there is an I in leadership. And I like to say this as when you're on a team and you're a Rotary Club member, yes, there's no I in team. You should be working with others. But when you're the president, there is an I, and you are the one out in front. Like when you see a flock of geese and there's that head goose who's getting buffeted. Yeah, that's you this year. And sometimes that buffeting will be good, and sometimes it won't be as pleasant. But don't lead alone. Surround yourself with others whose advice you value. In our club, this is our executive committee and our board of directors. Anytime I had to make a decision that was tricky or tough, I always took it to the executive committee, to the board of directors, because several good minds are better than one mind alone. Always focus on building the future leadership and getting those people involved today. We look at leaders for 3 years down the road. We have our president lineup 3 years out. Once you're identified as a future president, you're on the board of directors, you're on the executive committee, and you're now helping shape the club that you will ultimately lead in a few years. That makes all the difference when people understand very clearly how the club works, why the decisions were made, had a part in making the decisions. So get those people into that inner circle of decision makers early. And then have a talk with your current president, your past presidents, and ask them, like, where did you trip up? What helped you? Who helped you? How did you stay organized? What I have found is that sometimes the people who are the biggest help to the president are the people who are very quiet and not really vocal in meetings, and you wouldn't know how helpful they are because they don't kind of toot their own horn, but a past president can tell you, yeah, go to this person for this, go to this person for this. Next slide, please. So what should you be doing from now until July 1? If you don't have a strategic plan in place, do one now. There is strategic planning guidelines on the RI website. That's what our club used, and they were very effective. You can just go ahead and hit down those bullet points. Update your bylaws if you don't have updated bylaws. Take a look at your club meeting agenda as a group, maybe your board or your executive committee, and say, does this meeting agenda still work for us? Or are we kind of wasting time where we could tighten this up and do more interesting things? Survey your members. If you want to make changes, and I wanted to make a lot of changes, you need buy-in to make those. So we did a survey and then took the results of that survey. So what I found was, for some of the changes I wanted to make, I had a ton of buy-in. Everybody wanted to do that. But we might have had 1 or 2 vocal people saying, no, don't do that. So the survey data helped us say, no, look, 90% of the club wants to do this. And I found out I didn't have buy-in for some of the decisions I wanted, some of the changes I wanted to make. So we didn't do that. Make a membership plan if you don't already have one. The district has great materials. Your AG has those. More importantly, make a retention plan. We lose a lot of members the first couple of years because we don't have a plan to get them really involved with the club and to give them responsibility and ownership within the club. I used to work at a university, and the one thing I learned was the people who bring in the students are not the same people who retain the students. It's a completely different set of skills for retention. Next slide, please. So this is a picture of our club survey. I'm happy to share the survey that we did. It was loosely based on a training called Simply Irresistible that came. We changed up some of the questions, made more opportunity for open-ended answers. But we got incredibly just wonderful information out of this club survey about how we should lead. So as a result of the survey, we made a lot of changes to our club meeting agenda. We stopped singing from the blue books. Our sergeants program had really gotten to be not very impactful or interesting. So we developed, our current president had the idea to develop a program called Rotary Is. And so instead of the sergeants program, people stand up and say, like, maybe Rotary is local service, and they'll talk about what the local service committee is doing. Or it could be Rotary is the new environmental focus, and they talk about the new focus on the environment. So it's more impactful than hearing about National Donut Day, which was kind of where our previous ones have been going. I was president during Barry Rassin's year, so we did the Flamingo Award every week. And that award was to honor somebody for their work. This is Dick Conklin. Many of you know him from our club. We changed the name of our prayer time to Moment of Inspiration to reflect that we have a diversity of spiritual beliefs in our club. And we created a retention committee. We did not currently have a retention committee. And we were asking membership to do retention, and that was just really overwhelming them. And then I started my year by introducing myself to the club in a more personal way. People knew me as director of the Delta Dental Foundation. People knew me as a Rotarian from Fort Wayne. They did not really know me as a person. A lot of people did, but we have a really big club. Not everybody did. Next slide, please. So this is my family. I have 7 kids, 3 grandkids. So I introduce people to my family. Next slide, please, which is kind of overwhelming. Some more pictures of my kids. I'm a military mom. I have 2 sons in the military. Next slide, please. Shout out to Dan Ryan. He's well aware of this. I like to drink beer. My husband and I are really into craft beer and travel. And these pictures are actually what I explained during my presentation. These are each taken in a different country where we're drinking craft beer. Next slide, please. So getting yourself organized. This was the one thing I was told you have to touch on getting people organized. Number one thing I did that helped me was a Rotary specific email. It wasn't original, RotarianHolly@gmail. But it works. You are going to get, and I know half of you are sitting here thinking, I don't get that much email. I don't need a separate email. Oh, wait till July 1 when RI blows up your inbox and the district and Jane and everybody else is blowing up your inbox. It gets really overwhelming really fast. And I see Jane laughing. She's like, yep, I'm going to do that. So it gets really overwhelming really fast and really hard to track it. So a separate email really helps keep you organized. If you haven't had the talk, have it now with your family and employer that you're going to have some more responsibilities. You're going to be busy more. You're going to maybe miss some things. You're going to ask them to go to some things. And making sure your employer understands and supports your commitment, but also has a clear understanding of what your commitment is. And then find a way that works for you to track what you need to do. I use Excel spreadsheets, and I also use, this is my handy dandy, I'm taking notes today. I use a multitude of paper binders. I have them segmented for my calendar, for my notes, for different things. Find what works for you. Maybe ask your current president what worked for him or her. Next slide, please. So that's all I have today. This is the abbreviated version of what I did last year. I think I was the last presenter, and then they shut pets down and sent us all home. That was the very beginning of our COVID quarantine. If you have any questions or you would like a copy of the survey that we did, my phone is on there, my email is on there. Please feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to help you in any way that I can. Thank you.
Thank you, Holly. Ed, go ahead and advance. Okay, so as Holly said, and I've been trying to do as we move through, do those pictures, do those things that share personally. I mean, we all have the headshots that we all end up with, but you need to make sure they know who you are as a person. And I've said many times, I'm not a beer drinker, although when we were in Germany, I had a lot of fun drinking beer, trying out the different types throughout the different areas of the country, but we're wine drinkers. And this one is actually in Italy. We love to travel, lovely charcuterie tray in front of us and a wonderful Italian wine. So it's just amazing. If you have any questions, I'm going to say two things. One, if you have any questions as you're going along or comments that you need to make, go ahead and put them in chat for now. And then as we get towards the end, we'll also deal with a lot more questions. I'm just going to highlight a couple of things in terms of running your club, some of those requirements that supposedly take place. The first one I would say is Holly encouraged you to have your own email. One of the reasons why I was laughing is because normally I would not have sent out as many emails before pets, but with MEGAPETS and all the changes that took place this year, they probably already feel like they've been in just like how many times is she going to send me an email? So I promise I will not be sending that many, but you won't feel like you're getting one every week. But if you are going to change your email, please make sure it gets changed in Club Runner, and that also transfers over to Rotary Club Central, because it should automatically go over, but I had been trying to get a hold of one of our president-elects with an email that was in Club Runner and kept getting it bounced back. I was looking around. Finally, I went, oh, let's look in Rotary Club Central. It was totally different. I finally caught up with him. So if you make that change, please let me know that you've made a change to your email and put it in Rotary and into Club Runner for us so that we can do that. That's just really key. And any other changes that need to be made. One of the other things with reporting is right now, or as soon as you can, make those changes. And we're going to talk about it a little bit later in either this morning's session or this afternoon's. Make sure you make your changes to your leadership and move that forward to the next year. I'm already getting letters from Rotary International saying, you do not have presidents for these different clubs, which I know you have them, they just haven't been carried forward. So if you can do that, then we'll be able to move forward with that one. They should have been done by February 1st, but I just read that, so sorry about that. Just like I said, making sure your officers are in Club Runner and that everything carried over to Rotary Club Central, that your club goals are in by June 1st. And that's one of the reasons why we're going to try and get back together in May, so that if you are having problems in getting club goals entered, we're going to work on them together with your AGs. One of the other reporting requirements is making sure that you've updated your membership lists. Definitely before January 1st and July 1st of each year. Make sure you've added those new members. Make sure you're putting in if your club membership has changed and you have lost some members. We want to have an accurate listing of who we have in each club. We hope that we're not losing members, but we know that happens. There's a natural attrition that happens. Then on the bylaws, those should be reviewed annually. You should try and vote on those at your annual meeting, if at all possible, in December. I think for a lot of people, one of the things that you may want to go back and look at in your bylaws with this past virtual year, some bylaws do not show that you can make votes virtually. So that is something that you may want to look at and talk about in your club, making sure that you have those opportunities to make decisions by virtual if it's needed. The state of Indiana does allow that to happen. So as long as your bylaws don't say specifically that you can't, you are covered by the state of Indiana, but it is something that you may want to talk about in your clubs, with your leadership. Risk management. I think first and foremost, we always want to stay positive and think, okay, we're going to be doing this and that, and let's look at, okay, we can do this and we can go forward. But take a second, whether it's with a project, an event, any of those types of things, and think, is there anything that could go wrong, and how could we prepare for that ahead of time? It may be just as simple as, do we need insurance for a particular event that we're happening? If you're serving alcohol or beer, what are involved with that? Making sure that you're following the guidelines of both your local and our state laws. There are basically two areas where one thing that we forget about, and John may share more of this when he talks about youth programs, but making sure that you have used InCheck, which is a verification system for any of your members who are going to be working with youth. We want to make sure that we have a valid checkup on them. And that is a program that we offer it's through the state, but the district has a special setup for that. So make sure that you are going through InCheck to qualify any people that are working with youth in your Rotary Club. The other thing that's coming out, and you'll hear more about this as we move forward, is Rotary International has encouraged every district to come up with what's called a district youth emergency policy. It mainly applies to a lot of our youth programs that you'll be hearing about more in a little bit. But if you have something that you're doing with youth in your club, we will be sharing that information with you. Who else do you need to contact if there's a problem? Could be, maybe they just, a youth exchange student has gotten sick and has to go to the hospital. Do we have all of the things in place for your club to help out with that situation? Or was there an accident? Who needs to be identified and who needs to have that information so that we can deal with it? It could be much larger. What if we were hit by a tornado? We're going to be addressing those situations and having a document available to you that you can refer to. And that is still being worked on, but we should have that ready for you before July 1st. That is our goal. So those are the main things. If you have any other questions or where to get things, most of it will be on your district website or at Rotary International. They'll share a lot of that, those reporting requirements. They are also in the book that you have all been sent. You can also find it on the website. Next, Ed. And now at this point in time, I'm going to turn it over to Ed Van Wyk, our district governor nominee and our district trainer, and Chris Wyden, our district secretary, to share a lot about how do you do a lot of these reporting things.
Thank you, Jane. I hope we're set up to have this work the way it's supposed to. Once again, I'm Ed Van Wyk. I am the district trainer, and Chris Widener, our district secretary, is going to help me with this portion of our presentation. Okay, we're going to talk about how to navigate, and we'll talk briefly about Club Runner, which is a software that most clubs have. There are some clubs that use DACDB, which we will not really talk about at all, but one of the things to remember, as Jane already said, when you enter your information in your Club Runner or DACDB about the membership, but specifically right now, it's important to enter the information about your leadership team for the next year. That will automatically be transferred over to Rotary if all goes well. So you need to start working on that. There are ways to get it into My Rotary, but it's best to do it through Club Runner or DACDB. Now, there are clubs that do not have that at all, but the district has a Club Runner instance, and you can get a login to that by talking to Chris, and he will set you up. All right, let's go to the next slide. No, let's talk about My Rotary. You should have set up an account for My Rotary because we talked about this in pre-pets. Same thing for the Club Runner. If you have not done that yet, it is time to do that. If you need help, reach out to us so that you can get into Rotary Club Central and do all the things that are important at this moment. So with Club Runner, I'm going to talk about how this works in words, and then we're going to show you a video that basically does the thing that I'm talking about here. So first of all, you have to have a login and you need to log in. You go to the member area when you come to the first page. Then you scroll down to something that talks about organization. That is on the right-hand side near the bottom. And there you can set up your officers and executives and your committees. So without further ado, we'll go to this video, and we hope that that works. Are we hearing the sound?
No.
I'm not hearing it.
Okay.
Sound.
Okay. Hold on a second. I think I can fix this. Oh, there you all are.
Always the fun part when someone else is controlling it and we don't have direct control over these things. But
Yes. Okay. Let's see if it works now.
We're seeing your slide controls, Ed.
You're seeing the slide controls? Okay, hold on. We'll get this to work. Okay. Okay.
I will say while they're trying to work on this, in reference to the president's book, I did send that as an attachment in one of the first emails that I sent to you. I know it is also on the district website. I will get a link sent to you. And I'm actually going to be doing a follow-up. We're going to talk about this a little bit later, but I'm going to be doing a follow-up email with a listing of different links that I think will be beneficial to you. And that some of those will be on the website, some on our district website, some of those will be links to things right on Rotary International, so you'll get it again. Rotary International is no longer printing those manuals. We used to hand them out at the pets, but so it's all online, and there is a program there that you can go to also in the Learning Center. And John actually just shared the file in the chat.
Okay, are you seeing the presentation
we're seeing
right
your
now?
slide, Ed. Yeah.
Okay, now let's do this again.
We are logged in to
And we've
Club
got
Runner.
sound.
We click on the member area and we scroll down to the organization. We're going to set up executives and directors. This is the current year, and you see all the executives and directors for this club. In order to set up the executives and directors for next year, you can carry over all the positions to the next year by clicking on this button. And it will tell you that they have been successfully carried over to the new year. We click on the next year button. We see that all the empty positions are right here. Now we have to assign names to these positions. So we're going to edit, and for president, we are going to select a member. And let's say this person will be selected. We save, and you do this for all the other positions for executives and directors. Now the next thing we have to do is to define committees. Okay, it says there are no committees, so we need to add a new committee. Let's say we are having an executive committee, and we select the director of that committee, and we're going to select this person right here, and then we save, and then we see that this person is now on the executive committee. Then we will have to select committee members by clicking here, and then we are going to add a member, and we're able to use the list here, and we save, and here we have a committee member. We can add more committee members if we want, and we can go back home and see which all committees that we have. Of course, we only set up one committee for right now, but that's how you set up your executives and directors and your committees.
Okay, in My Rotary, and you should have a login for that, you log in and you can manage your club. You can do your club administration, club invoice, which is what you pay. You can change club and member data, and you can run all kinds of reports. And we're going to look at a video about all of that.
Make sure that you're logged in to myrotary.org and click on Manage, Club Administration. You can look at your club invoice. You can update your member data, update your club data, the other thing we want to look at, once again under Manage, Club Administration, Reports. A number of reports to manage your club. Under Club Reports, Status of Club Members. You can find out which of your club members have a MyRotary account that is active. You can run a report on the membership of your club. There are lots of reports in club data which give you membership profiles, club growth, etc., etc. Under Contributions and Recognition, you can look at club giving reports. There is a report for your advancement towards the Rotary citation. Those are reports in Club Rotary Club Central.
Okay, the other part in Rotary Club Central is what we talked about in pre-pets a little bit, where you are logged in, you scroll down on that first page that comes up to Rotary Club Central, and you arrive at the dashboard of your club. You enter the Goals Center, and that is where you can set your goals. You can also set service activities, and there are resources that will help you do all these things, and there's more reports that you can run. So at this time, there will be a short video about that. Some of the things about service activities we will get in on our next session this afternoon.
We are logged in to MyRotary. We scroll down. We click on Rotary Club Central. This will bring you to the dashboard. Of your club, where you can view all kinds of trends, also about projects, funding and volunteers, trends in your annual fund. So that's nice. The next thing is the Goal Center. This is where you would set your goals for the new Rotary year. Under all these tabs, you have the ability to set goals. We will get into that in our next session. Right now, I want to take us to service activities, which is a place where you can set up new service projects. If you already have a project that you're repeating this year, you can click on that, or you can manage your projects. Under the resources page, there are links to mostly PDFs that will help you do some of the things that you need to do as a president of your club. Lots of resources there for all the areas of Rotary. Then we have reports, club reports about the growth, the membership profile of your club, if you have a satellite club or you're sponsoring another club, viability and growth of your membership, members in a club, and membership termination profile. Lots of reports. Check it out.
All right. Are there questions at this time? And do we have time for some questions for myself and Chris? Do we get any questions, Chris?
The only question so far was in regards to the difference between DACDB and Club Runner, but I think we answered that in chat.
Okay.
If anyone does have questions, we do have a couple of minutes here that you can just raise your hand from reactions or whatever, and we will call on you. I'm sure that if you have the question, there's somebody else out there that's wondering the same thing. Nancy, unmute and ask your question.
All right, thanks. Somehow I minimized my screen. I can't see everyone, but two questions. One is the service activities. Is there a place in Club Runner to enter those, and do those feed into Rotary Club Central? That's my first question.
Okay. I can take that, and then I'll give you a chance to ask your second question. No, Club Runner does not have that. We will show a short video or later this afternoon about different places in which you can enter the service projects in Rotary, which is the thing that we just looked at, but there's also another place where you can do that. What was your second question?
Second question is, when I go into Goal Center, I don't see, actually Brian and I were looking at this the other day, I don't see anywhere to enter my goals.
Then that might mean, and Chris can back me up on this, that you have not been set up yet properly at Rotary, and that could be because you're not in Club Runner, and that hasn't transferred. Chris, do you have any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's definitely a permissions thing at Rotary. If you're on the right year, theoretically you should be okay. But reach out to me after the session, and we'll loop in data services and they can get it fixed. So.
All right, great. Thanks, Chris.
Have you moved your leadership forward for the next year?
I don't know how to do that. Well, sorry.
What he just talked about at the beginning.
Right. Actually, just as he was talking, it had not been moved forward, so I just put myself in as president for next year. So perhaps now it needs time just to feed over. Okay.
Yeah, that's probably what is going to happen. So try it when we're on a break, and hopefully it will work. They're normally pretty quick with transferring that.
All right.
Yeah, the sync function can take 24 hours though. So it may not work today. It should, but it may not work till after midnight.
All right. I don't have goals anyway, so I know I can get it in there by the time I do. Thank you.
Okay, and Joel, I see you have your hand up.
I had, thank you for sending the booklet, the two people who sent it. I had another booklet that I got yesterday that theoretically I could not find. Where do we find all these information booklets on the Rotary sites?
They should be in the Learning Center. If they are not, then you can best do a search in Google and say, I need a booklet from Rotary about being a president, and then it will send you there, because the search function at rotary.org is not always very helpful. Chris, any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, most all of them are in the district files section. But yeah, Google is definitely your friend in this regard, because
part of the problem
they are all listed on.
I don't even know what documents I need to be looking for, so it's pretty hard to search when you don't know what you're looking for or what would be helpful.
And that's one thing, Joel, that we will be sending out post pets is a link for a lot of those documents, but you should be able to find some under the district files up at the top. And we have a section for 2021, 2022 presidents. And so you can just go into that file and look. We're still updating that, but we'll have both of that. We'll have a file right there on the district website that should have a lot of your key things that you'll need. And then I will be sending a follow-up document with kind of a little checklist of and links for resources.
Thank you.
And we had another question in chat from Jan. And in what she asked was, when should I start adding goals? I don't want to step on the current president's toes. Well, the nice thing about all these things is it's by year. So as long as you're putting in the goals for your year, it doesn't affect the current president. So.
And just one additional comment on that, Chris. When you set the goals as the president for next year, you really also should be talking to your other officers and the club, because you're not, as Holly had pointed out, an island on your own. You're collaborating with the whole club on these things. So have a conversation.
And we also had another question in terms of someone is not able to move their officers forward. I believe then they may need to I'm going to ask Chris to confirm, because do they need to have better access listed for themselves? Does the current president need to move it forward and then they might have access?
Yeah, it all comes down to access permissions. If they're trying to do that in Club Runner, then yeah, they need to talk to their current president or current secretary to make sure they've got the correct access level to do it. If it's in Rotary Club Central, then it's a data services question. And either way, you reach out and we can help you with it.
Okay, I don't see any other raised hands at this moment. If something comes up as you're thinking, go ahead and put it in chat. We'll go ahead and move forward at this point in time. And I'd like to bring you back to John Frischie, our current district governor, and he's going to share a little bit on youth programs. But John, you might want to share about this picture first.
Yes, I'd be glad to. If you see the gentleman in the white cap on the right side of the screen, that's John Frischie. And I am on a heart-to-heart trip to Mexico, 2017. And we were in a meeting room there with in a hospital that does cleft palate surgery. And as a teacher, I have seen a lot of students that had cleft palates repaired. I had never seen a student like this beforehand. And I don't know if you have the next picture, but the mother and this child were standing in front of me in that room. And she was smiling. She was thanking the 40 of us from the Midwest who made the pilgrimage to Mexico City. She cried some, and so did I. So this is the moment, if you want to know, when I feel like I became a Rotarian. Okay? I accept all questions, but if you want to be truly engaged, take part in some international mission with Holly, with Logansport, anywhere. We're doing Stove Team, we're doing I don't know, I won't list all the projects, but when you get a chance to visit an international project, it will change your life.
And then would you share a little bit about our district youth programs?
Okay. Yeah, and I'm going to just take a minute to talk a little bit about, I've worked, I don't know how many years as district trainer, but there is so much information. And I will tell you that my Rotary, once you get logged in and there is that little magnifying glass to search, it is not the best in the world, but it is much better than it was. And so there are sections on leading your club. There are all kinds of things to find. and you don't need another sermon on that. But and the same thing with getting your club goals in and getting things done. When you get your name in as president next year, then you will eventually have access, I believe, as Chris said. So this has been quite the year for RILA, Interact, Youth Exchange. Basically, just about everything has been canceled. Now, there are Interact clubs meeting in high school periodically. That's a struggle. But I'm going to talk first a little bit, I believe, about the background checks you mentioned. And this is something that the district is working on a, quote, crisis plan. We have youth protection section and our youth services section in our district bylaws, and we have access for your club to use InCheck to do background checks. And you don't need a background check until something serious happens. It's not critical, but at that point it's too late. So you want to make sure that if you have Rotary members involved in any way with youth, that you have a background check. And you can tell me they are the best Rotary member in the world. You can tell me that they wouldn't think of doing something like that, but I can guarantee you, you don't want to be surprised. I'll give you an example. If you have someone who drives students to RILA, a very noble thing to do, a very good thing to do, but do you know they don't have a, I don't know, I guess a DUI or a DWI on their driving record? And if you don't know that, then you become much more responsible for allowing that member to transport students. And I can tell you from working with Purdue and 4-H kids, we get a background check. We cannot drive. If you have a DUI, you cannot drive students. Never have more than or always have more than one youth, or have 2 adults in your car when you're with youth. So first, let's talk a little bit about RILA. RILA, unfortunately, was supposed to be the same weekend as district conference. It's been canceled. Kyle Cross and Amber Beatty do an excellent job of organizing this. And if you've never attended RILA, make it a point to go, stop by, see what goes on. The kids are so enthused, they are so excited about Rotary, and they will come back to your club and help you form an Interact club. And I would guess that just about every Interact club in the district started with children or students going to RILA. And Kyle did not want to try to duplicate the in-person experience. They have great presenters. It's held at Camp Tecumseh near Delphi. So they are not doing it virtual. There are, however, some virtual RILAs that you can access by searching online for Rotary Youth Leadership RILA Academy, and then look for virtual. Put the word virtual in the search. You can then also, I'm going to help Tim Gibson. He's our current Interact District Chair. Interact clubs have had trouble meeting also. So the thing that you need to remember is that you as club president need to keep those students involved in your club. You need to have them come help you, serve pancakes, clean up the roadside, any of the projects that your club does. When your members, when you tell your members, guess what? We had a road cleanup on Saturday, and we had 7 Interact students, and we had 2 Rotary members. It can be a motivational experience. There are so many other things that Interact does, and so I would encourage you to start one. If you have questions now, just contact DG, let's see what, DGE DGN, Tim Gibson, how's that? They are working on a presentation to be at our district conference on Saturday morning. It's tough to get students available on Saturday morning, but we're working on that. Another program I'm passionate about is Youth Friendship Exchange. It has been a very vital and active part of our district. It too has been canceled for the coming year because they would have already chosen students, look for host families. It's just not going to happen. And travel from other countries, let alone in our country, cannot be guaranteed. But the students that are involved in this, the clubs that are involved in it, and I will ask in a minute if you've hosted youth exchange students, if that's not an exhilarating experience, when you have students with you from another country, then I think there's something wrong with you. We have, I mean, I can only apologize that my entire year as governor has been virtual. I've missed going to the youth exchange workshops in Indiana. It's a big disappointment. It's a big sense of enthusiasm, and I certainly hope and pray that this can continue. Don Ostin from the Monticello Club is the chair, and we have an inbound chair, Christina, outbound chairs, people that are involved, and I would encourage you, past district governor Christina, to take a look at that as an activity that you may be able to engage in by the end of your president year. And I don't want to take all the time, but I would be fine to just go back and take questions, take comments about Youth Exchange Interact or RILA, or about the in-check program. Let's open up and share a little bit.
Actually, John, I'm going to have people kind of all share at once. Under reactions, if you've sent a student to RILA, would you put a heart on your screen? I want to see how many we get so that I make sure you even know. We're getting lots there, but there's several that have not. RILA, and I would say we're a small club. We have only about 24 members in our club, but we send at least one student, maybe two each year to RILA, and those kids come back and report out. And it's kind of funny because it's called, when you look it up in Rotary, it's called Rotary Youth Leadership Awards. But it's a great leadership bonding training session for teenagers, for high school students. And if you're not doing it, please look into it. It is a fantastic weekend for these kids, and they come back so enthused, and they're so much better leaders in their high school because of that, and on into the future. They learn so much through that. The next one then is, just very quickly, let's put the ta-da, if you've had either an outgoing or an incoming youth exchange student in your club. We have a few less of those. I think, this may be a good year to really start to focus in, because next spring, have a program on youth exchange. Christina Doherty, past district governor, would be excited to come to your club and speak, or whether it's virtually or in person, and share about youth exchange as a possibility for your club to either host one or to send an outgoing student for the following year. But all of those plans need to be made during your year. At this point in time, we are getting fairly close on our time. Ed, will you advance to the next slide? Right now, we're at questions. And we're going to do this pretty quickly. Just think on this one that I pulled up from an Jackson Brown Jr. The happiest people are not those getting more, but those giving more. And when we talk about what's coming up next, you're going to get to hear Shekhar Mehta and his talk about serve to change lives. And if you aren't moved that it is those of us that are giving more, that are going to be getting more out of it, then I mean, you just have a great opportunity ahead of you. So you've got about 15 minutes before he speaks. And then there is a break after that for an hour for you to have lunch before you go back into your next session. So I know for some of us in Eastern time zone, that's a little bit later than normal, but flexibility is the name of the game. Any questions at the last minute that anyone has as far as what's coming up? Please, would you take the slides off, Ed, and gonna open it up here. If you haven't had your video on, I'm taking pictures now. So get on, smile at me. It's a wonderful day in the neighborhood. I'm gonna go to session 2. You don't know which one you're on because, as you know, you float around all over the place. I'm still missing a few with people. Yep, get videos going. One more I have to do. The last page. All right. Smiles, everyone. Hopefully you've had a little bit of fun today. All right, I got all 3 of us. So that's wonderful. 3 screens. As I said, we're getting close on our time. I'll be here for a few more minutes if you have any questions that you want to offer. Hopefully you're getting some good input out of your PE training sessions and for those returnees, some new information rather than repeats. But if there's something that comes up that you really haven't felt like you've heard, send me an email after we're done this afternoon, and I will make sure that that's included in a checklist or that's included on our district website files so that you have everything you need. We are here to serve. I know one of the questions that came out of the survey that we sent out earlier, that you know how busy district governors and the district governor line is, but we're here for your questions. We will make time. That's the whole goal, is that we're a membership driven organization and we want to be there to support you and your members. So don't ever think that any of us are too busy to help you, because that's what we're here for. I can't say that enough. You've probably already heard it several times from me, but you'll hear it again. So I know there's a lot of information we passed to you today. These slides are all going to be on the website. We've recorded it. Those will be there so you can follow back up. But certainly get in touch with any of us you've heard today or at any of the sessions, and we'll be glad to help. So go get something to drink, a little snack before we start, but be there for Shekhar. You won't want to miss him. Thanks all. We'll see you soon.